Hello everybody, my name is Bob, and this is my optimal spaceplane flight tutorial. Basically, it's about how to get the most out of your air-breathing engines to get to space. So you see here we have the new RAPIER engine here, which is air-breathing while it can be, and then uses rocket fuel, uses oxidizer after that. And what we have here is we have one airplane fuel tank, a small rocket fuel tank, and underneath here, yeah, you can see it better here, you have another rocket fuel tank. That's for the liquid fueled stage of things. And power supply, battery, light, very important. This is all stock except for the landing gear. There's a reason for that. Landing gear, the stock landing gear, those weigh half a ton apiece. So that's 1.5 tons altogether. And if you're doing a space plane, weight is important. Now you could do it with rover wheels. That's an option. It's a damn ugly option, so that's not what I'm doing. But if you wanted to make it all stock, you could use rover wheels instead of these wheels. These wheels are from the Firespitter mod. I'll put a link in the description. It even says here, Firespitter. You may also notice there are a ton of air intakes. That's for a good reason. The idea here is going to be to start getting going really fast, like 1,600 meters a second, at very high altitude, which is 20 to 30 or even more thousand meters. You're going to need to have a lot of intakes to get that air at that altitude. You're also going to need to go forward very fast, and we'll get to that in a minute. Let's see if there's anything else here. I did put a docking port here. There's no RCS, but if you wanted to have it docked to a station, you could pop some RCS thrusters and some RCS fuel on there. That's basically pretty much it. There are also mod canopies you can use. One of them is from a Firespitter mod. This one works very nicely. It's light in weight compared to this, but I wanted to go mod as far as I could for people who may not want to put mods on their KSP. I wanted to go as stock as much as possible. However, for airplanes, having these landing wheels is a good thing. You can use rubber wheels if you want to. So let's go ahead and launch it. Okay. Throttle about halfway. Now, when you are sort of learning how to do this, you will make mistakes. You will screw it up because you're flying on a razor's edge here. You're flying on the edge of the envelope between you're flying on the edge between air resistance, which will slow you down. So less air resistance is good, and running out of air, which air-breathing engines do need air. So that's sort of the area in which we're doing our most of our work here, or we're going to be doing most of our work here is right on that edge. So you will screw up probably. In fact, I could screw up right now. I mean, I could, even though I've done this many times, I could probably screw this up. You never know. But in any case, you should get the idea of what we're doing here. Okay, gear in. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go almost straight up. There's no point in messing around. Just go straight up. And go ahead and throttle up. What we're going to do is we're going to go pretty much straight up till we get to about 10,000 meters. Basically like you would do with a rocket, but they're all similarities. And just like as if you're launching a rocket, you would go up to about 10,000 meters, and then do your gravity turn. Well, we're going to do the gravity turn, except we're going to keep turning. We're going to keep on tilting over because most of the power we're going to be putting into this orbital vector here is going to be horizontal. That's due to the nature of the air-breathing engines operating at high altitudes. If you want to be still sucking air at 30,000 meters, you're going to have to be going awful damn fast, even with all these air intakes. Okay. All systems appear to be nominal. Again, we just go straight up until we reach 10,000 meters. Is this the only way you can do a spaceplane? Absolutely not. It is probably the most efficient way you can do a spaceplane, because air-breathing engines are just inherently much more efficient. So you can get to orbit with a much smaller vehicle. I mean, this is the size of an airplane. I mean, you could very readily... Okay, we're at 10,000 meters. Let's go ahead and start tilting over. I mean, this is the sort of size of that you would make an airplane rather than a spacecraft. If we're wanting to get this to orbit, we're probably going to need to hit the envelope pretty precisely. Okay, we'll stay tilted over like this until we get to about 16,000 meters. Get around 16,000 meters, the shit starts hitting the fan. You start having to really watch your air intakes, watch how fast you're climbing, because obviously you can climb yourself completely out of air very quickly. And when these things switch over to being liquid fuel, they're going to suck fuel like crazy. Because right now we're barely sipping fuel. When they switch over to rocket, they're going to be sucking fuel like crazy. So we want to put that off for as long as possible. Okay, we need to go ahead and tilt way over. Tilt way over. Otherwise we're going to run out of air. Okay, we're looking at right about that, about 10 meters a second. That's what we're looking for. Yeah. Nope. I said 10 meters a second is what we're looking for. That's the rate of climb we want. Let's take a look at our air intake, 0.03. Okay, now we're climbing about the right amount. That's about 10 meters a second. That's so that we can pick up speed, and horizontal speed, and so that we don't run out of air, don't climb our way out of air too quickly. And as you can see, we're getting the burn-in effects here. Mango, I can't let you in right now. My cat's wanting in. Okay. 0.02. Fuel is good. Now we're going to want to be climbing above 30,000 meters and still be breathing air. In order to do that, we have to get going really fast, like above 14,000 meters a second. So we're pushing the horizontal velocity here as much as we can, minimizing our vertical climb at this point. As you can see here, our apoapsis is really not very far ahead of us. That's perfectly okay though, because once we start getting into the really thin air, around 30,000 meters, we'll start picking up speed. We'll start picking up altitude as well. Check to make sure you're not going to run out of liquid fuel. Intake air is still 0.02, that's good. Now this process is a little bit more tedious than your typical rocket launch. And a bit more demanding of the pilot as well. Because you really have to make sure you're not climbing too fast, make sure you're speed is up high enough for the altitude you're heading towards. The whole bit. Make sure that you're not going climbing so slowly that you're going to run out of fuel. Okay, this rate of climb is okay right now. And we're almost up to 14,000 meters. 14,000 meters a second. Yeah, there we go. So that means we're going to be going fast enough to keep the air coming in those intakes. Which is what we're going to need if we're going to still be sucking atmosphere at 30,000 meters. Because really there is no atmosphere at 30,000 meters to speak of. So what we're doing here is the story is all about getting that surface, that horizontal speed up. Okay, we're up to 15,000 meters a second. At this velocity, we probably should be good up to about 30,000 meters. By the time we get to 30,000 meters, we'll be ready to actually still be breathing the air a little bit past 30,000 meters. Okay, intake air is down to 0.01. Again, this is slightly tedious, but if you want to get a small space plane into orbit, this is pretty much the way you want to do it. That's the 0.01. When you get up to about 30,000, it'll start really, the apparatus will really start going ahead of us. Sort of right about at the point when we start running out of air. Oh, okay. Yeah, in a perfect world with this tank would empty just as the liquid fuel is kicking in. Okay, we're starting to push the apparatus up a bit. Let's keep our rate of climb down. Because this is the point at which we'll run out of air pretty quick. Actually, it says intake air is at 0. Obviously, it's not 0 because we're getting something out of it. We're still on air breathing. You can see the oxygen oxidizer hasn't been used yet at all. Now when we come up, when the liquid engines kick in, we're going to want to throttle down and kick up vertical. And you'll notice the color of the plumes here change. That's one way we can tell. We're at 32,000 meters, still breathing air. And we're pushing up the apparatus a lot better now. Okay, we need to stand by to throttle down a ways. 33,000 meters, still breathing air. Check our fuel. Okay. Now you have to be really mindful of when these engines kick in, the liquid fuel engines kick in, because you're going to want to throttle down right away, because those engines will suck these fuel tanks dry in no time. $35,000 meters, still breathing air. 2,100 meters a second. As you can see, we're really pushing up the apoapsis now. Okay, throttle down. Tilt up. Alright, we want to push this up to about 100,000 meters. Why? Because we're still getting dragged from the atmosphere. So by the time we get there, that'll be down significantly. And as we see, our engines are off, conserving our liquid fuel as much as we can. We may wind up having to push that up a little bit, but that's okay. So the idea is going with atmosphere for as long as possible, for as long as at all possible. When the RAPIER engines switch over to liquid fuel, throttle way down, tilt up vertical, and then shut it down as soon as you reach about 100,000 meters apoapsis, or thereabouts. Okay. Everything's looking good. All systems go. It'll be a little bit before we can get actually out of the atmosphere, and we'll warp up here, because we're still got a little bit of atmospheric drag here, so we're actually slowing down a bit. But we have our apoapsis up fairly high, so we should be perfectly fine. Okay. Come on. Yeah, still waiting to get to a high enough altitude so I can time compress. Now these RAPIER engines, when they're on liquid fueled mode, they're pretty powerful, but they also suck fuel like crazy. So what we're going to want to do is do our burn for a vehicle like this, at least, do our burn real close to apoapsis. Like do our first initial burn maybe about T-minus 20 seconds until apoapsis. And then do our subsequent burns very, very close to the apoapsis, because for a vehicle of this size, these engines on liquid fueled mode are really powerful, and will really suck fuel really quickly. So, Mango, I'm recording, baby. He's outside my window wanting in. Okay, so I'm in space. Let's go ahead and warp up. Okay. we're looking at about T-minus 20 to start our burn. As you can see, the orbit is has a lot of horizontal component to it already, so. Okay. And T-minus 20. You see, that didn't take much at all to push that back up. And we're gonna wait. Wait till we get down to about T-minus 10 now. The closer you can do your burn to the apoapsis, the more of the velocity is going to be going horizontally, and thus the better effect you're going to have. The more efficiently you're going to raise your periapsis. Okay, well, we're actually in orbit now. I'm going to go ahead and, just to be neat, I'm going to level out the orbit a little bit. Got plenty of fuel left. 83 and 84, that's good enough. Okay, I'm not sure if I actually want to show you the whole landing process, because that's sort of straightforward, I guess. Well, what the hell? We'll go ahead and land this thing too. Alright, you want to land back? If you want to land back on your home base, we will start our burn right about there. Okay. We didn't have the guy do an EVA. Oh well. This is a test flight anyway. Alright, let's start our burn. We'll bring it in right about yay much. Yeah. Right there. Okay. Okay. Let's get the nose pointed in the right direction. Might be helpful. Alright, let's warp on in. Obviously, with a space plane, it's nice to be able to land back at the same landing strip you took off from. It can be sometimes rather technical to actually make that happen, but let's make sure we're sort of close to. Actually, I'm going to burn slightly south, just to get me right over the target here. That should do. Okay. We should be right on course. And we even have a little bit of fuel left over, not much, but some, for if we need to do some final maneuvers once we get down to the ground, or get near the ground, perhaps not down to the ground. Hopefully not into the ground. Yeah. Now, I tested this vehicle up to the point of getting to orbit. I've not tested it for landing. And these landing gear, although they're very lightweight and they're very good for that, they're not real robust. So I don't know how this is going to work out. We've actually moved past the tutorial part of the video and onto the fun and possible crashing part of the video. So the having fun and possibly crashing part of the video. Now, being very conscientious for my Kerbals lives, I do have a parachute right there. What would probably happen if I had to use it is it would rip the command pod off of the rest of the aircraft and then hopefully land it safely on the Earth. Also, at these high speeds, once you get in the atmosphere, it is very possible to lose control of your aircraft / spacecraft. So when you start doing maneuvers going excessive speeds, probably want to be aware of that. Probably want to be aware of that. Also, this thing has got much less fuel than it did when we launched, so its flight dynamics have changed. Whether that will cause a problem or not, I don't know. I don't know. Probably it would have already caused a problem if it was going to. Okay, coming in for a landing. Perfect flight so far. Locking up. Yeah. Yeah, looks like we're heading right back for the runway. No problems, man. No problems. No problemos. And you know, look at how tiny this this spacecraft is. I mean, it's minuscule. So definitely, it's a very efficient way of getting a manned spacecraft into space. And plus the fact that you can land it back where you launched it. Okay. Now, although I've test launched this vehicle before, I haven't really actually test flown it very much. So, its performance in the air could well be different than what I would expect. So, it should be fine though. Wow, this is taking a while. However, our flight profile appears to be pretty good. Okay, there's the airstrip. Let's go ahead and try to deviate this way just a little bit so we can get lined up on the runway. They really need to change this. I mean, this is a pretty useful cockpit, but that's not useful at all. The IVA is not bueno. Okay. And for these things, it's good to have SAS because you're going to need that torque to get things moving around sometimes, especially once you run out of air and these control surfaces won't work. All right, well, let's go ahead and why are you in rocket mode? Apparently that's the thing. It doesn't switch back from rocket mode once you've switched into rocket mode unless you toggle it, apparently. Alright, that's enough. Alright, pop some gears. Looks like we have some altitude to kill too. Okay, we'll just kind of nose down a little bit. Performance not too bad as far as its responsiveness in the air. Now we get to test how those landing gear work. Locking up. Whenever it goes to record a chunk of video, it tends to lock up a little bit. Okay, so basic plan is to get down near the ground here and then flare out big time like this. Okay, flare out. Not that much. Okay, tap the brakes. All right, success. Alrighty, well this is that's the end of this tutorial. Again, this method of sort of getting the most out of air breathing engines of your space plane. Why is it still rolling? Oh, I turned the brakes off. It takes a little bit of work to get it right, but just practice it and basically bear in mind that your idea is to be going horizontally as fast as you can, as at as high an altitude as you can manage it. If you do that, you're going to get going horizontally very, very fast, and then when your liquid fueled engines kick in, it's only going to take a little puff out of those engines to get you all the way to an orbital altitude. Anyway, that's all for right now. You gotta step out and take a bow, dude? That's all for right now, and until next time, hasta la vista. Adios. Goodbye.